In a quiet village surrounded by endless farmland lived an old farmer named Ethan. His land was famous across nearby villages. No matter how harsh the weather was, his crops never failed. When rain stopped for months, Ethan's field stayed green. When insects destroyed other farms, his wheat stood untouched. People whispered about him. Some said Ethan knew ancient farming secrets. Others said his land was cursed. Every evening, after the sun disappeared behind the hills, Ethan walked barefoot into his fields carrying an old lantern. He never took tools with him. He never worked the soil at night. He only talked. Villagers passing by often heard him whispering softly, as if speaking to someone who could not be seen. When asked about it, Ethan only smiled and said, "The land listens if you speak with respect." One year, a terrible famine struck the village. Wells dried up, crops failed, and hunger spread like fire. Families sold their animals. Children cried at night. But Ethan's field remained alive. Green plants swayed in the wind as if untouched by the famine. Desperation changed people. A young farmer named Lucas, who had lost everything, decided to uncover Ethan's secret. One night, when the moon was hidden behind clouds, Lucas followed Ethan quietly. At midnight, Ethan entered the center of his field. The lantern's light flickered unnaturally. The air felt heavy, almost breathing. Ethan knelt and placed both hands on the soil. "I will repay you," he whispered. "Just one more season." Lucas felt his blood freeze. The soil beneath Ethan's hands slowly moved. Lucas stepped back in shock, his foot snapping a dry branch. The sound echoed across the silent field. Everything stopped. Ethan slowly turned his head. His eyes were calm, but his voice was cold. "You shouldn't be here." Cracks spread across the ground like veins. A deep, ancient voice rose from beneath the soil. "Another witness?" Fear consumed Lucas. He ran as fast as he could, never looking back. The next morning, Ethan's crop stood taller than ever. But Lucas fell ill. His skin turned pale, his body weak, as if something invisible was draining his life. Doctors could find no cause. Each night, Lucas dreamed of roots wrapping around his legs, pulling him into darkness. Ethan visited Lucas quietly and placed a hand on his forehead. "I warned you," he whispered. That night, Lucas disappeared. Villagers searched everywhere. His house, the forest, the river. No trace of him was found. A week later, something strange appeared in Ethan's field. A new scarecrow stood in the center. It wore clothes that looked exactly like Lucas's. The famine ended soon after. Rain returned. Crops grew again. The village survived. Years passed. Ethan grew older, weaker. One evening, he never returned from his field. Villagers found only his lantern lying on the soil. And in the center of the field stood a young farmer, strong and silent, tending the crops. When asked his name, he smiled gently and said, "I'm just the caretaker." At midnight, the fields whispered once more.